Hello everyone, my name is Debbie Jones-Snyders and I'm from the Hopedale Presbyterian Church. I'm delighted to welcome families and children to our church school. Our story today is about Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve disobey God, and this is adapted from Mission Bible Class with images by Sweet Publishing and Free Bible Images. We have a craft for you. You can see our snake. And we have a couple of coloring pictures as well as some other activities. So the story of Adam and Eve. So when Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden, God gave them a rule. He told them that they could eat anything they wanted except for one thing. Just one rule. Do you think that would be hard to obey? What do you think that Adam and Eve did? So let's find out the story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve disobey God. Adam was the first man who ever lived. God created him from the dust of the earth and breathed life into him. God knew that Adam would be lonely by himself, so he had a plan to create a partner for him. He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep so that he could remove one of his ribs, and from the rib, God formed a woman who was called Eve, and she was the very first woman who ever lived. Adam and Eve worked together in taking care of the Garden of Eden, just as God commanded. They were so happy in the garden that they did not even feel embarrassed that they wore no clothes. God took care of Adam and Eve. He gave them many trees with good fruit to eat. God said, "The fruit on these trees is for you to enjoy, but do not eat the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. If you do, something terrible called death will happen to you." And Adam and Eve did not even know what death was because no one had ever eaten the fruit, so no one had ever died. One day, Eve was walking through the garden alone when she heard a strange voice. Eve started looking around to see who was talking to her. And while she was looking at the tree in the middle of the garden, she saw a snake. Eve was surprised that a snake was talking to her. What Eve didn't know, that it was really Satan who was talking to her through the snake. "Did God really say you should not eat the fruit from any tree in the garden?" the snake asked. "God said we may eat the fruit from any tree except for the one in the middle of the garden," Eve said. "God said something terrible would happen to us if we ate any of the fruit from that tree." "Nothing terrible will happen to you," the snake hissed. "In fact, God knows that if you eat some of that fruit, you'll be like him. You will know the difference between right and wrong." Eve looked at the fruit on the tree and thought, "The fruit is beautiful. It looks like it would taste good too. Besides, if it will make us wise like God, nothing terrible could happen to us." So she picked some of the fruit and ate it. Then Eve also gave some of the fruit to Adam. And when Adam saw the beautiful fruit that Eve had brought him, he took the fruit from her and ate it. Suddenly, Adam and Eve began to feel unhappy. Nothing seemed as beautiful or as nice as it had before. Adam and Eve knew that something terrible had happened. They had disobeyed God. They realized they were naked, and then they made clothes of leaves. When they heard God in the garden, they ran away and hid. "Adam," God called, but Adam didn't answer. God called again. Adam, where are you? Finally, Adam said, I heard you calling, and I was afraid. So I ran away and hid. God knew what Adam and Eve had done, but he wanted them to tell him, and so he asked, Did you eat from the tree I told you not to eat from? Eve gave the fruit to me, said Adam. But the snake told me to eat it, said Eve. How sad God was. You have disobeyed me, he said. Adam, you and Eve must leave the garden. From now on, things will be harder for you. You will have to plant your own gardens for food, and you will not be as happy as you were here. Adam and Eve were sad too. Something terrible had happened to them, just as God had said it would. Adam and Eve knew they had done wrong and deserved to be punished. So they put on the clothes God gave them, which were made from animal skins instead of leaves, and walked slowly, sadly, out of the garden, the beautiful garden that had been their home. They were never allowed to come back to the garden. We have several activities for you depending on your age level and interest. You will need to print the templates. There are 2 coloring pictures. You can choose to do one or both. We have a craft for you. It's a snake, a spiral snake. And in order to do this craft, you will need the template. And if you want to make the snake a little stiffer, you will need construction paper. You will also need scissors, some glue, things to color with, a hole puncher, and yarn or string or ribbon. So the first thing you want to do is to decorate your snake. And if you're not going to use the construction paper, then what you can do on the back, I guess you could do this with if you have construction paper as well and you glue it on the back of the snake, you can decorate it or you can write something on it. Now, what I wrote on the back of mine was what it says in the Bible, which is, you can see it. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. So I wrote that on the back of the snake. So first decorate your snake and glue him, cut him out. If you want to use the construction paper, that's fine. Then you want to glue the snake on the construction paper and cut him out. You also then want to cut the spiral as I have done. You see the lines. And if you want to write that verse from the Bible on the back of the snake, that's fine, that's great. Then you want to use the hole puncher, put a hole in the middle of the head, and use a cut piece of string or yarn and tie it, and then you can hang up your snake. And it'll remind you about the story of Adam and Eve and how Adam and Eve were tempted and disobeyed God. So other activities include a word search and maze, a crossword, and an anagram. And I do have the answers there for you. This week, remember rules help keep us safe. We should seek to obey God so that we can be safe and others can be safe. Have a great week.